Welcome to the Circle of M. I am your host, Marcus Smith II. Man, we have another edition, another episode today, man. I have a good friend with me today. Former first round draft pick, just like me, to the New England Patriots in 2014, Super Bowl champion. Man, I'm proud to announce my good friend, Dominique Easley, bro. What's going on, man? How you doing today, man?
None. I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on here.
Man, this is, I know I've been talking to Anton for a minute, been just trying to get you on just to talk about mental health and life. Really, what I'm doing is really getting athletes and people in general different perspective on like what they've been through in life and kind of like how they got through it. But first, our first thing that we always like to do is we like to tap in. So like, how are you feeling today? What is the mood like for you today? Like, what you've been up to, since you stopped playing, like what's new with you?
A lot. A lot. I'm a father of three. I have three boys, and I'm taking in also my stepdaughter as well. So it's definitely a big change in life. I say, just for instance, for today, what I'm pursuing is my pilot's license. I just moved out here to Georgia, so I'm pursuing my pilot's license. Also getting into real estate and just little other investments as well. I'm actually about to go meet with one of my good friends, Mac Brown. I don't know if you remember him, but he played at Florida as well.
He's from Atlanta too, right?
Yeah, he's from Atlanta. Yeah. So I'm about to actually go meet with him because he's doing a bunch of real estate too. So just trying to really connect and find my purpose again. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. I guess that has been the biggest thing for me is understanding my purpose. Because I've dibbled and dabbled in a couple of things, but it didn't feel like a purpose to me.
Yeah, same. It was same here, man. It's like at the end of the day, you don't really know what your purpose is really till you take the helmet off, almost because our lives are really just honing in on football. So like, even though you dibble dabble and stuff, like your focus is, mainly football for me. So like,
Exactly.
I mean, like being the beast that you were, like coming out of college, obviously, man, we know you went to the University of Florida and,
Okay.
we had our times, in the Sugar Bowl, y'all actually number 3 team in the country. Y'all, but I really feel like y'all didn't really want to play us that bad. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. We was hell bent over that loss to Georgia because at that point we was number 2 in the country. We were supposed to go to the Natty, and then we had as a defense 6 turnovers, but we also, as an offense, we had 6 turnovers that game as well. And we were dealing with Jeff Driscoll. And still to this day, I'm pissed off about him being not going to be it was crazy because Jacoby Brissett was supposed to be our starting quarterback.
wow.
Brissett was supposed to be our starting quarterback, yeah. And I feel like we definitely would have made it to the Natty from then.
That was like our Super Bowl, honestly.
Yeah. So, like, coming to y'all, it was like a bittersweet. It was like, it's cool that we get to go in the Sugar Bowl, but we really don't want to be here. We want to play. We want to be in the Natty. But at the end of the day, right, we all competitors. We all don't like losing. So I can't sit here and have an excuse on what happened.
Yeah.
Can't sit here and have an excuse on what happened. It just wasn't. Y'all did y'all thing. I can't even front. Like, Teddy tore us up. Teddy tore.
You talk to your teammate Jalen Watkins. That's my guy too. He like, man, we ain't want to play y'all, man.
Yeah. Like that whole week, we wasn't even really focused, but we didn't want to lose. You know what I mean? Like we definitely didn't come in there thinking y'all were gonna be like that. So I can say
y'all still came back. I think it was y'all still came back. But I wanna.
Nah.
I wanna.
I can't even put it no other way. Teddy tore.
I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. But so you came out the same year as me. What was your experience like being drafted in the first round and just going to the New England Patriots? Like you going to somewhere that's it's a great, obviously, organization. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. What was that experience like getting drafted by them?
What I tell when I get that question asked me, I ask them, "Do you want the honest truth or do you want the political
We
answer?"
want the honest truth. This is about truth, baby.
So my truth is that was not a good night. That was not a good night. I was in New York. I was back home. I was in the hotel. That whole time coming out because I got hurt, so I only played 3 games. So it was during our pro day, I actually spoke to Bill. Bill had told me not to work out because he already told me he was going to draft me. He's like, he didn't want me to work out. But in my head, I knew how Florida was when Urban Meyer was there. And I knew that's kind of how Bill ran his. So not to say like the organization is a winning organization, right? You can't put that out. Can't count them out of that. It's just it wasn't. I knew it wasn't my type of characteristic of a team. Like I knew I wasn't going to fit in there, but being who I was at that point in time in my life, as a kid, as a young kid. So the whole draft process, I did not want to get drafted by New England. That's why I had my own workout so I could try to either like move up in the draft. Hopefully they don't get me. But I also knew that he was a father figure of mine in Florida, Dan Quinn, and he just finished winning the Natty with the Seahawks at that time. So he was gonna draft. They was gonna draft me. Like he already told me they was gonna draft me. And if you look back to that draft round, they traded out after I got picked up because the Seahawks were supposed to draft me, and that's why I was looking to go. So we in New York at the DoubleTree Hotel. I see the Boston number come on my phone. I'm in the bathroom. I throw my phone, and one of my old friends, two of my old friends was there. I'm like, I'm not picking it up. If I don't pick it up, I won't get drafted. They was like, nah, it don't work. It don't work like that. Then she wound up picking it up and throwing it back at me, and then did the whole. It was honestly a facade for me. Like I wasn't into it. I didn't want to get drafted by them, and I wasn't looking forward to it. As a young child's mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
But
that's
if I could go back, if I could go back, I would say I would enjoy New England with a different perspective of what I wanted from myself in the game of football.
And you know what's so crazy, man? Because, I got drafted to the Eagles, and it wasn't the best experience for me either. Because I could have went, they traded back to get me, but I could have went to the 49ers, or I could have went to the Seahawks too, you know what I'm saying? Which I ended up getting to play with the Seahawks 2017 and 18. And I'm like, dang, bro, like if I would have started here, maybe my career would have been a lot different. You know what I'm saying? But, we can't really go back. But I understand what you're saying about like, expectation and wanting to go a certain place. But when you got there, even your mindset, even going into it mentally, were you still like going through like, I don't really want to be here?
Yeah, it was hard for me because at that point in time, nobody knew. It wound up coming out when I got to the Patriots, but like a week before the draft, I got attacked by my dog. So I was in the hospital a week before the draft. Like I had like it was bad. Like it was damn near down to my bone. So I was still in the rehab process. So, but when I got to New England, they was expecting me to be in OTAs. They was expecting me to be, but I couldn't do none of that because I had these lacerations from the dog bite. So literally, that set my whole rehab back. Set my whole rehab back. And honestly, it set my confidence back because I'm there and I'm trying to rush back. I didn't want to miss OTAs. I already missed OTAs. And obviously, you know this. Coaches in your ear, when you gonna get back on the field? When you gonna get back on the field? And then just me, myself, and I didn't like not being on the field. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to show what I can do for myself. So it was definitely like I definitely lost some confidence just because like my knees wasn't strong the way I was. I wasn't able to move the way I was because I'm rushing back. I came back in the middle of camp. And I just didn't feel like myself. And throughout that whole season, like I was just battling a lot of like swelling. I was getting shots on the regular. getting my knee drained right before games, always doing Toradol, 2 shots of Toradol, one before the game, another when halftime come. So it was just consistently waking up, trying to feel like I can at least get to play. And that put me in a very dark place because I couldn't even focus on my kid. I had one kid at the time. I couldn't focus on him. I couldn't even enjoy life with him at that time.
Man, you know what? I'm glad that you said that because, man, people need to hear that because really, when you look at athletes and you look at us, they don't know like a lot of stuff that, especially football players, like what we have to do in order to be ready for the game. Like you got to think, man, 18 game season, like, and then you coming off an injury, so like they're rushing you back, but you're trying to you want to be on the field, but then at the same time, you like, man, you want to be healthy all the way. But
Exactly.
your whole first season or the first season that you play, you still not as healthy as you want to be. And then, like you said, it kind of like takes your confidence back. How did you get through like dealing with injuries? Because I know, bruh, how mentally tiring it could be, or I would say like mentally you're fatigued from just getting hurt and wanting to be on the field, and then you hear the same stuff. Like, what were some things that got you through that point of when you were dealing with your injuries throughout your career?
It's this. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably gonna sound real crazy or real sick. At that point in time in my life, the type of person I was, I love overcoming adversity like that. So when it came to injuries, I actually like being in that position so I can come back and prove that if you had to come back at 6 months, nah, I'm trying to come back at full. You know what I mean? So I loved that at that point in time, like, cause that was my second ACL at that time. So, and then I damn near rehab myself. So it was an adrenaline rush for me when I was going through these injuries. But as I gotten older, that's when it started becoming just mentally like I couldn't bear it no more. Um, with the Patriots, it was just nobody knows this. I went on IR after week 14, not because I never got hurt with the Patriots. People keep thinking like I messed up my knee, all this stuff with the Patriots. I never got hurt. I went in there. I remember I think we was about to play the Jets, or we just finished playing the Jets, and we was going through walkthroughs in the gym. And at that point, man, when I say I was done with football, I didn't want to play football no more. So I just went in there, told Bill, like, I'm done. I don't want to play. I'm good. Like, you can put me on IR if you want. He was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, put me. Like, I don't want to play. I'm good. And there was no reason because I was going to start that next game. It was just like you said, I was mentally unstable, not only at the stadium, but also I brung it home. You know what I mean? Like I brung it. I didn't know how to deal with it, or either mask it, deal with it, or keep it where it needed to be kept. It was just consuming my life. So everything was just in a dark place.
Wow. Man, that's real. And I appreciate you for sharing that because, man, I feel like I've been there too, bro. Like, I didn't go in there and say I didn't want to play, but I dang sure wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because when it start festering to your everyday life, you like, bro, the hell with this. Like, it's starting to affect what I got going on at home. And when it started to affect what you got going on at home, like some of us can, like I know Dion, he talks about like when he was, I think he was talking about it on I Am Athlete, if I can remember. He was talking about suicide on there. And, I had some dealings with suicide too. And he was just saying like he just got to a point where it's just like it became too much and he tried to take his own life. And like, for me, that's what happened to me. But was there any point in time where it got extra dark and it was just like, bro, I don't know where to go from here? And then from that point on, did you do anything like maybe meditation, therapy, something to help you cope with being in that dark place?
It's crazy because no, not at all. And the reason why is because I grew up in the projects. I came from a poor family, poor neighborhood. So feeling bad or having an excuse on why you can't get something done or even voicing it was not even in my body at that point in time. Like I couldn't even fathom to, yeah, like I couldn't even fathom to even understand how to communicate those things. I just masked it with, I smoked a lot of weed. At that point in time, I was addicted to opioids. So I was on a lot of Vicodins. I was on a lot of codeine. It was like I masked it with a, a lot of other things. You know what I mean? And to be honest, like nobody really knows this. I tried to, I couldn't, I guess I put myself, I was so close to home. I had my homeboys around me that should have never been around me as well. So I was getting into things that I should have never got into because I was like, I didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be there. So I never had, I can't sit here and say I ever had at that point in time when I never had like suicidal thoughts. I never had like, it was too hard for me. I didn't understand that it was. I thought that I was actually like getting through it. But at the same time, now when I started to realize what trauma is, when I started to realize like all the things that I went through, it was just like, damn, like you was really, excuse my language, fucked up. Like your head was not there. Like the way you was treating, way I was having relationships with my father, my mother, my sister, like just everybody in my family. I just wanted to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, I know exactly what you're saying. Cause I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Like I went to APN and out in Colorado, and
Yeah.
like even though like my fifth year, I walked away from the game, and then that's when I started to do therapy, right? And even then, I was still like blaming football, right? Not really realizing it was some, deep, dark stuff that I hadn't addressed yet that, my childhood with just me playing football, just different things you go through. And dog, when I went out of APN and I was out there for 30 days, bro, it changed my life because I seen other guys dealing with the same thing. And I really didn't feel like I was alone. And like a
Yeah,
lot of times you feel
that's
like,
crazy that you say that. That's crazy that you say that because that was my same exact experience.
yeah, that
Yeah, that's crazy that you say that.
APN, man, I would encourage any football player who, feels like, they want to get some type of healing, some form of healing, and to really find out who they truly are, man, go to APN, man, APN Lodge, man. That's in
I say all
Bell,
football
Colorado.
players, like, yeah, any football player that's at a elite level or like a professional level, I think they need that. You know what I mean? Because they might not know they need it.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's crazy. That is crazy, man.
mhm.
I love really just hearing your story, man, and just you talk truthfully about that because it's a lot of people that can relate to you in that way.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
what with the circle of M, we like speaking to, you have your Hall of Famers, you have your guys who play a long time, right? And those guys also deal with mental health. They deal with life issues too. But we can't forget about the guys who played 5, 6 years, who played
hmm
3 years, 2 years, because those guys, even though they may have not gotten the opportunity, they have worked their whole lives to get to that point. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce their way. And hearing
exactly.
those stories, especially hearing it from you, I know it's going to be something that they can gravitate to and hold on to too, man, because it's amazing. It really is. Like, I know you talked a little bit about marijuana. Like for me, I smoked every day. Like,
Yeah, same.
because I couldn't find something. My anxiety was so bad. I couldn't find something that would help me go to sleep.
Bro, I'm still trying to find something that we go to sleep.
Hey,
I'm
I
still
would rather you do that than be hooked on an opioid, though, right?
opioid. Exactly. Like it was like for me growing up, I ain't play football growing up. I ain't start playing football until I got to high school. I never really liked football, and like we said, it was my trauma because when I was younger, I was too fat to play football. So I was the kid that was running around during the week with a trash bag trying to make it to the game, trying to make a Pee Wee League game on a Saturday, but never did it. Never was able to make it. So I never played Pee Wee until I got to high school. Then when I got to high school, everything just happened so fast. And after I left high school, I did not like the game of football. Like if anybody asks me, "Oh, do you do this?" No, I don't like the game of football. But it's crazy because now we're talking about 10 years later. I'm understanding. I love the game of football. It also came with, for me, like not seeing my mom in the stands all the time, not seeing my pops in the stands. Um, I had true supporters like my uncle, my aunt, and the people that was there that would come to every game, but not being able to, like, I always just tried to. I don't like it. No, I don't mean this much. You know what I mean? Because I never wanted one. I never wanted to be the person who thought they was better than anybody else. You know what I mean? So it came with all of that. So by the time I got to college, I stuck in my mind. I hated football. By the time I got to the league, I hated it even more now. Because now you getting drafted, people like that. What people say, people come out the woodworks. But I didn't think it was that true. I had my friends' moms asking me for money that I never even had any type of relationship with. You know what I mean? Like me going back home, you got people asking me for money. I'm just like, no, like I never was afraid to say no. Like I never had that problem, but it just started to take a toll as well. You know what I mean? So that led to me, bro. When I say I smoked at every moment of my life, like if I left the house, I was smoking. During meetings, I would go out to the parking lot, go in my car and smoke. Like it was just getting to the point where like I couldn't live in the reality of life. And if I did, like you said, my anxiety would go crazy. Like I didn't like being around too many people. Anton will tell you, I was hard to deal with a whole bunch of like doing interviews and stuff like that because of my anxiety. Like I did not want to be around people. I couldn't control that at that time.
Yeah. Same here. Like it's really, it's crazy because it's really no different. Like we definitely was going through. Now, I will say, when I got drafted, I think it was, and my wife can be attest to this because this is when I was in Philly. It was a different person every day asking me for something.
Every single day.
And I got so cold. Like I got so cold, and like even if somebody really needed it, it was a no because I just got tired of people asking, and because I'm trying to be all I could be on the field, and I'm dealing with all the stresses of that, playing, being a first rounder, not living up to the expectations, and all this other stuff. Then I got people in my ear, like not worried about football; they just worried about themselves. Bro, I bought my mom a house. Now, I was so happy that I bought my mom a house. But if I could go back, I would have did it after the season. But I did it right in the middle of camp. And that was probably a bad move for me because in my mind, I should have been focused. You know what I'm saying? I should have been focused. But yesterday we talked because we talked about marijuana, obviously. We talked a little bit about, your business ventures and what you're doing. Do you really want to talk a little bit about like what you plan to do when it comes to cannabis?
Yeah, sure. So I was fortunate to, like I said, cannabis is a big part of my life, not only because of myself. My sister, she has fibromyalgia, and that was the only. You know what fibromyalgia is?
What's that?
So fibromyalgia is basically like a chronic, I won't say disease, disorder, where people just go through chronic pain. It's all different, but no one knows where it comes from. So I say just until recently, like people started really taking notice to it and trying to treat it. But it was one of those things that was happening and people didn't like know what to do. They'll say, no, the person, like my sister, she had it when she was 11. They'll say, no, she's lying. She only got a cold. She only got this. So, marijuana, like I started giving her rubs, topicals. I started giving her like bath bombs, and that's the only thing that worked for her. So that's when it became like true to me. You know what I mean? Like that's when marijuana became something more than just social smoking, going to hang out with my homeboys. Like I really wanted to learn about it, and that's when I went to LA, and I really started to understand what it does, what's good for you, what's not good for you, what strain isn't, what started learning the science behind it. And then after my career, I always said I always wanted to get into marijuana in some sort of way. Then
Right.
I fell in when I got hurt. I used to use lavender a lot, so I fell in love with lavender. I always wanted to know like how it grew, so I started taking trips up to Northern Cali, seeing lavender farms. Then I had a mentor in Milwaukee, so during the season, I'll go back and forth to Milwaukee and farm. Like he had a micro farm to where like he was put me on the farm. I was doing chickens,
Wow.
microgreens, goats and stuff like that. So I fell in love with the cultivation of things, and that's when, as soon as I left the league, I started actually growing marijuana. One of my good friends had hooked me up with his friend. He grew up in Humble, which is the capital of marijuana, what they call it, because like they got their own life out there. So he grew up there for about 7 years, and then he came with me, and then we did our own thing. And I fell in love. When I say I fell in love with it, like that was like my peace and my serenity. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I fell in love with it. Didn't know. I knew Jersey at this time. I knew Jersey was gonna be it's coming recreational. So I'm like, there's got to be a way for me to get into it. So I started doing a lot of research, and then randomly, this I call him this white small Jewish cat hits me up on Instagram, like weird. Like you know how some fans be hitting you up and it's just like, bro, you look weird, you look crazy. So it was
Yeah.
like one of those. So I didn't answer for like a good week. And I'm like, let me see what this is about. So
Yeah.
I answer him, and then crazy. Now he's one of my business partners, Michael Mook, a guy named Josh Joseph. He just sold. He's a big. He's a head of the industry as well. He just sold to Curaleaf. He just sold to Curaleaf back in 2020, which is going to become over like one of the biggest transactions there is in cannabis. Um, so he had the experience, and then Jordan Reed as well. He played obviously he played with me in college, but he also played in the league, and he played with you as well. So we all
Wow.
teamed up and wanted to do like change the outlook on cats getting into the ownership of marijuana. You know what I mean? Owning licenses, because everybody was being used at that point in time. Nobody like our culture, our black culture, our the minorities
Yeah.
were not being were just being pawns and not being like not having ownership. So that was one of the big testaments to like what we was doing. So we wound up forming a company called Big Plan Holdings, and now I just put, and this was a hell of an experience. I'm not gonna lie. They put me in a position to where like I had to take over the application process of putting the application in to get this micro cultivation in Jersey. And when I say that was the like I've never experienced something like that a day in my life, because I really had to like research. We had to correct over 200 pages of words. You know what I mean? Like nobody. I didn't do that. I didn't do that in college. You know what I mean? So it was a hell of an experience. But right now, to say all of that, we put in our application in Jersey for micro cultivation. We just heard back. We're in the second step of it, so we should be receiving our reward anytime from October to November. Uh, we're also doing like non-plant touching deals to where like we take over real estate, or we become a brand ambassador for these companies. Jordan Reed, he's doing his thing in
Jay
Connecticut. We're
Reed.
also trying to we trying to get into Connecticut as well. So it's been it's been a crazy experience because like I've I guess connected with myself in the political forms, and
Yep.
now I'm out there talking to the mayor. I'm out there like I went back to school at Stockton University in Jersey for my my business with concentration with management, and then my minor in cannabis. So like meeting that teacher, like just it's been a crazy experience because you meet so many people that you never would have thought that you would meet in this field.
And so what it sounds like too, man, is like you tapping into your purpose and you tapping into like, something that you really love, you know what I'm saying? And you going throughout that process, like you probably even surprise yourself throughout the process, like, man, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, like I'm getting this done. Like, and I feel like that's how it is with me and mental health and like the Circle of M. It's like we doing stuff and we don't realize, like, dang, man, it's truly like when you in it, you don't realize how big it is to, like, you start telling people like what you doing. And for me, like, hearing it, I'm like, yo, like, however I can support and get behind you to continue to push your initiative and what you're doing, especially in the cannabis world, because it is, studies about that, how it can help also, you know what I'm saying, and not harm. And
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things for me. It helped me through my biggest depression that I've been through in my life. When I almost lost my kids, I was going through a bad situation with the mother of my kids. So that was like a helping hand.
man, see, and sometimes sometimes you need that, and whatever you
Exactly.
was going through. Now look at you now, like you dealing with that, almost losing your kids. Like look at you now, like former first round draft pick. Like you went to Florida, like you came from the projects, you won a Super Bowl. You are a businessman, man. You're flourishing. And I want people to see that. Like, you're more than an athlete, man. Like, I was telling somebody the other day, man, like, you really don't truly find your purpose until you actually take that helmet off, bro, because that's all we, like, know
Sold
almost.
ourselves.
Right. It's that's how we mask ourselves. We mask ourselves under the helmet. And so, man, if, like, a young Dominique Easley, like, if you could go back, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
Don't let you get caught up with. I had a problem with trying to control every aspect of my life, even the way people treated me. So when I felt like somebody treated me, I felt like I had to control the situation by treating them a certain way. And I would get caught up with that part of life instead of focusing on where I wanted to become better at. If I could talk to my younger self, I would tell myself straight up, are you getting better in life? Like, is this working towards what you want in life? Like in the next, because you hear yourself say it, people ask you, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Right? You can simply answer that question. But the question is, how do you actually get to that place in the next 5 years? What steps do you got to actually take? So if I could go back, I would literally, like, one thing that I want, even still to today, that I'm trying to get into is writing down and crossing off. Because for me, I feel like we're a lot of like on hands thing. Like we have a schedule. We have to do this. We have to attack it. Like that's the way we've been programmed with football. So it's just like I have a goal. I write it down. I gotta attack it. How do I have to get to that goal? You know what I mean? So just trying to understand that and just let them know, just like life isn't that hard. Like life shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. Like, my wife, she helps me with that right now. It's like, because if I don't write it down, it's like I ain't gonna remember it. It's
Yeah.
like I gotta have it in front of me, And like
Hmm.
if there's a player who kind of like is walking in your shoes, you know, what would you tell them, through your own experience? Like, what would you tell them if they're going through injury, if they're, having trouble with, their baby moms and, just trying to figure it out? Like, what would you tell
Don't
them?
don't be afraid to get help. Like growing up, I ain't want help. I ain't believe I should have help. I feel like I could have did it myself. Like if I need help, that means I'm making an excuse. That means I'm right. What we call it soft. I'll tell them, yo, if you need help, be verbal about it. Tell somebody. Talk to somebody. Let them know. Because the more you hold in, the less you can actually get help. But the more you let it out, the more somebody can help you figure it out. So definitely, like, especially these kids nowadays, they coming into money before we came into money. You know what I mean?
I'm like,
So it's
hold
just like,
up.
and that, yeah. So, and I'm like, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for kids like us because it's like you can you have a I guess a period in life where you're able to mess it up, where you're able to make the mistakes, and it's not going to be so detrimental. By the time we was in that space, everything we did, it was just like, if you mess this up, well, you're not gonna have this. You know what I mean? So these kids nowadays that's getting paid in college, it's like, yeah, experience the mistakes, but also learn from it. You know what I mean? Like, don't just keep doing the mistakes, don't keep doing it. Learn from it, and then when it's time for you to like endure life, you have those tools in your toolbox to be able to maneuver throughout.
And that's why, like, I try to put my financial advisor, like I bank with Morgan Stanley, and
Mm-hmm.
African American financial advisor, played in the league, 6'7". That's what drew me towards him, because
Okay.
I know he'd been through what I've been through, right? And I just felt like he wasn't gonna steer me wrong. So even now, like, it's guys from my high school that go to Georgia, go to Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
like NIL deals are out there, like that should come with like some financial literacy, something, you know what I'm saying? Because,
Exactly.
22, okay, we going into the league at 22, but
Mm-hmm.
now you getting that type of money like
17,
17,
18.
18, yeah. So you don't know what to do with that money. So you need to have something in place. And that could be a big mental barrier too, because think about what you said when you first got drafted and you got some money, and how people will ask you for money. Like they definitely doing that now,
Now,
even in
exactly.
college. So it's like, all right,
Yeah.
can I get through my fun years where
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it being like, this is not a job yet. You know what I'm saying? This is
Mm-hmm.
still fun, quote unquote. That's how I looked at it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially in college. Especially in college. And to even speak on that, like my first adventure coming out of the league was actually fintech edutech app that my baby mom she had started. And like and that's what got me out of my comfort zone, because I never liked being in a room full of people. Like I'll tell you one story. This was crazy. Like this was the craziest thing. I went to an alumni masquerade party, right? So obviously everybody's face is covered and everything like that. When I tell you I couldn't even be in it for 10 minutes. Like it was me and my baby mom. She was there conversating with a little group, and I'm just off to the side, just looking, just having anxiety. By the time 10 minutes came, I said I had to go to the bathroom, and I just left. I couldn't do it. Why? I don't know. I was just thinking to like something was going on to where it just wouldn't allow me. So after I retired, I started doing a venture with her to where we had to go to CES. Now I'm pitching in front of thousands of people. Now we're in front of Shark Tank. Now I'm having to like reach out to people like I've never done before. So now I'm taking myself out of my comfort zone, which is not even having to deal with people because of us playing football, because of where we was at in that space. Um, so I was able to endure that. I was able to change that about me. And that also put me in a place where now I'm starting to understand financial literacy. Now I'm starting to understand how to ask these questions. Now I'm starting to understand how to be in a room full of white people that's talking language that I don't know. You know what I mean? Even black people, or just corporate people, like the corporate world. Like just being in a room would make you uncomfortable. It doesn't do that no more, because now I'm not afraid to ask no dumb questions, right? Well, I don't call it dumb. Any question that is dumb is a question that you don't ask. Is my opinion. You know what I mean? So these questions, they'll be talking, and I'll stop them. I'm like, I don't understand what you just said. You're gonna have to put that in a whole different term. And before that would make me uncomfortable to do, because why? We're used to being a person that knows how to do everything. We're used to being the people that like that's just immaculate in these people's eyes. So I didn't I didn't want to feel like I wasn't. But I'm good with being like that. I like doing that because now I'm learning, you know? So yeah, so the financial literacy thing, man, I say everybody needs it, not even from I say the more important people that need it, yes, the athletes, but their family, the wives, the kids, the moms, the pops, the cousins, the aunts. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing I would tell them. Like when you go to these meetings, man, don't leave your wife at home. Don't leave your girl at home. Don't leave your kids at home. Bring them to these meetings so they can start understanding the lingo, so they can start picking it up. Even your moms. Like if your mom's is asking you for money, if your pops is asking you for money, bring them to your financial meeting so they can understand what you're going through. So when they ask these questions, now you don't have to feel bad because they don't know what's going on. Now you can give them answers, educated answers, because now you educated and now you have to understand even how to move with yours. So they create assets within your circle. And that's something I wish I would have been able to do.
Man, enlightenment, like, you know, give it to him. Like, just tell him. Like, you know, I sat down with my mom because it took me a minute to understand myself. And then I sat down with my mom, tried to get her to understand. And I plan on doing the same thing with my pops too, because I mean, we all need it. And, you know, from generations to come, like our kids, they're going to be fine because we'll be able to teach them, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be able to teach their kids. So, man, this episode, this interview has been great, man. And I really appreciate you for coming on, man, sharing your story and speaking in the way that you did. Man, this has been dope. So I definitely appreciate everything, man. I want to definitely support all your endeavors and everything that you're doing, man.
Yeah, definitely look out for Legacy like our cultivation name. Our brand is Legacy Cultivators. You know, just trying to change the legacy, trying to gather our people into it and create some ownership within it. So yeah, just look out for them in New Jersey, and we're just trying to make a space, as well as I'm also getting my pilot's license. So just trying to do different things.
Yeah, man, let's go. Showing the kids, showing the people that, hey, like, you can do anything, man. So I appreciate.
Even you, man, you gotta start letting you just told me something I didn't even know yesterday. You talking about you played quarterback up until you got to college.
Oh,
that's
man.
Crazy.
You know, that's Coach Strong though. Strong, he felt like he just knew that I wasn't gonna be a quarterback. I didn't know that, but he knew better than I did, and I just trusted him. It ended up working out. That's the crazy part.
First round draft pick for playing quarterback up until your sophomore year of college.
Yeah, bro.
That don't happen.
Nah, it don't. It don't at all.
Kids like you be scared to even move forward after that. So it's just like, definitely let that story out too, because you don't even imagine how many kids you're gonna inspire to be able to continue moving forward.
Man, yo, you definitely right. You right about that. You right.
You know,
I got to. Well, shoot, man.
Yeah, got to.
This has been the Circle of M podcast. You know, gotta say it. Yeah. You got my dog, Dominique Easley. Man, amazing interview. And shoot, man, we are out.